So this is the end of week 1 of my 12 boots in 12 weeks series of videos. But if you really want to know what the whole concept is about, 12 boots in 12 weeks, go to my Bootlosophy channel and go and find the video that introduces the 12 boots in 12 weeks. And you can also go and find the playlist, which is called 12 boots in 12 weeks. Let's go. G'day, welcome back to Bootlosophy, and if we haven't met yet, my name is Tech. I acknowledge the traditional custodians of the lands that I'm filming on here in Perth, the Whadjuk people of the Noongar Nation. Now, this is week 1 of my self-imposed 12 boots in 12 weeks series of videos. Go and watch my introduction video to this concept, 12 boots in 12 weeks, and there is a playlist on my channel which I will add to as the weeks go by. But basically the concept is, out of 140 odd boots that have gone through my hands, and as things develop as a boot reviewer, I've had less and less opportunity to really wear these boots properly. So I thought, what if I chose 12 boots to wear within a 12-week period, breaking them up into like some professional boots I'd wear to the office, some boots that I would wear maybe working outdoors in the garden or something like that, or going for hikes outdoors, and then a group of boots which are just casual. So if you want to see what those boots are, go take a look at that introduction video. But what I'm going to do today is tell you what happened in week 1, what I wore, how they felt, and how I wore them, and then maybe whatever conclusions I get from the end of week 1. So as I pull the boots up, there will be some links to the various websites where you can get them down below this video. So go check them out. Some of them are affiliate links, not all of them. And the affiliate links will not cost you a penny more. But what will happen is I'll get a small commission that will help me do these sorts of videos and pay for equipment and that sort of thing. So first of all, in this week, I actually wore 8 pairs of boots out of the 12. Now that is not extraordinary. Because I'm trying to rotate my different boots all the time, that's normally the average of the numbers of boots I wear, depending on if I'm traveling perhaps, where I'm stuck with one pair of boots for a few days, or depending on what I do, whether I'm working in the garden or on the house somewhere, where I might pull on a pair of work boots, whether we go hiking, that sort of thing. But 8 pairs of boots, and I'll take you through them. So the first pair I want to introduce you to is my NYX Overlander boots. These are not particularly old. I think they're just about a month old now, maybe a little bit longer. So I wore these every day. My wife and I go for a walk first thing in the morning, just around the local neighborhood, into the local neighborhood park, which is a landscape park with man-made streams and lakes and things. And it's about a 2.5 kilometer walk every day. So I wore these because I wanted to really break them in for a start, but I also wanted to feel comfortable in them so that when I go for much longer hikes, they're not going to be cramping me. They are very comfortable, right? And I've said in my earlier videos that because they're waxed flesh from Horween, they are starting to scrape up a little bit where I've been a little careless climbing up rocks and things. And also in the shaft where the folds are beginning to show, some of that wax flesh is running off. I had said in earlier videos that I think the wax that they apply to this is thinner than the normal wax flesh you get on the rough outside of Chrome XL. This is built on Chrome Pack. And I think I'm right. Just wearing them 6 days this week, walking in the park, as I said, it's beginning to feel really soft, really supple. The sole is beautifully comfortable, but definitely the wax is wearing off much, much faster than the Chrome XL version of the Rough Out Wax Flesh, one boot of which I'll show you in a minute. So that was boot number 1. Boot number 2 is the Russell Moccasin Backcountry. This is one of, if not my most comfortable boot. Now, I've had this for a while. I think I've had this for a year. It's such a soft, luxurious boot. The true moccasin construction, you know, being lasted from underneath, where the vamp comes up from underneath, and then a true moccasin stitch coming across there. It's a very lightweight boot. To some extent, it's not particularly comfortable on hard surfaces, particularly uneven, steady hard surfaces like cobbles. But on roads, not too bad. On pavements, not too bad. And definitely best on grass and the soft stuff. I wore these for a whole day because last Saturday, a week ago, we went on a road trip to York, which is about an hour and a half away. And York is the first inland town when Western Australia was settled. And this was worn that day, all day, and even when we got home, I wore it around the house, and it's just so comfortable. The patina, I think, is beginning to show through in this SB Foot oil tanned leather. Really lovely stuff. I've got a review of this, which you should go and see. Boot number 3 this week is the Crown Northampton Woodford Desert Boot. Very soft, very comfortable. Let me show you. If I take that out, it's so soft. Look, it's floppy. And because of that, it's very comfortable. But I'm still getting used to this very light toe puff because I can feel a sense of the leather on top of my toes, which if you're not used to in collapsed toe boxes, can feel a little strange. Not tight, not snug, not squeezy, but you're just conscious that there's something you're on top of rather than a stiff toe puff keeping it off your toe. Easy to get on, easy to get off. I wore this one day while I was filming my last video, and it was easy to walk around in at home, you know, kneel down and do all sorts of things while you're fixing cameras and stuff. Comfort-wise, there's really nothing underneath. It's a stitch down construction straight into the midsole. So all you've got is this leather midsole and then the crepe rubber. The crepe rubber is squishy for sure, but that leather midsole, having not broken this in yet, is immediately, it's like standing on wood, to be honest. I have begun to feel, I've worn this for a while now, I have begun to feel that it's beginning to soften and take the shape of my feet, but it is a slow process. It's still a fairly stiff to walk on. Okay, moving on. And now the next one is this Blundstone. This is their 1306 model, and it is, ignore the leather, this is what they call their dressy last, because it's a bit slimmer. It doesn't have that sort of, you know, toe spring, block toe, big round toe that most of the Blundstone work boot models do have. It's a bit sleeker, and it has a chisel shaped toe to create a sort of dressy effect. The leather, I don't know what it is, but it's a distressed leather, so I suspect it's something like Crazy Horse. Not as oily as some Crazy Horse leathers that I've felt. My guess is, they call it a full grain leather, but my guess is it's actually a top grain, like the grain at the surface has been buffed off a little bit to create this effect, and then lightly waxed. The construction is obviously a cement construction, but it's a little bit more than cement construction. It's actually heat sealed. So a lot safer than cement construction boots, which might peel apart. Very comfortable. This was the boot I had next to the lounge down here, so that every time I took the rubbish out, I'd pull it on. In Australia, we have two cultures about wearing shoes and boots in the house. One half of us wear shoes in the house, boots. One half of us take our boots and shoes off and leave them at the front door. It seems to be an east-west divide as well as a north-south divide. People in the northern states, the north of Western Australia, the Northern Territory, northern Queensland, tend to take their shoes off because it's very tropical. So you kick your shoes off and put your thongs on. It's also an east-west kind of divide because everybody in the eastern states, from South Australia to Victoria to New South Wales, do tend to wear boots indoors because it's cooler there anyway and wetter. And in Western Australia, when it's not winter, which it is now, it's drier. So we tend to kick our boots off. But I leave this by the couch because on the odd event that I need to go out take the rubbish out, as I said, I'll put this on. I also wore this for the odd walk to the shop. Forgot a pint of milk, go out and get it. And I also did a little entertaining when some friends came over for an evening for drinks. I put these on because they were so comfortable. As a comfy boot, extremely comfortable. This is quite new to me. It's about 6 months old and I've hardly worn them. So they haven't quite broken in yet, and you can tell it's fresh and new. So in effect, it doesn't need a lot of breaking in, but the rubber is still fairly stiff, the rubber sole. We'll see more of this as the weeks go by. Okay, the next boot is this boot from BlkBrd in India called the Rudiger, and it's in Horween shell cordovan. I chose the right boot, which is a shame because on the left boot inside the shaft there is the Horween seal. I wear it as a dress boot. I wore it for, I think it was 2 days straight going to the office, and I wore this with a navy suit one day and a grey suit the other. It went well with both, really well with both, and also very comfortable, very, very comfortable. I think the last is a lovely comfortable shape, very similar to the Blundstone Leo last. The sole construction, which is a stitch down, also seems to be very comfortable. There is an inner liner sock with some padding in it. I don't think there's cork because it goes directly into the midsole. But instead of day-night, they use a Vibram Eton sole, which I've found in other boots and in this one to be, I think, a bit softer than day-night itself. Now, it might not last as long, we'll see. But that was my office boot, very comfortable. The next thing I wore along was, again, a day at the office, one whole day, was this Parkhurst Allen boot. This is built on their 618 last, and it's built in Portugal. And you can see from this, I've had this for, I don't know, maybe a year now. And you can see from this how different this is from the wax flesh on the nicks, which is built on the chrome pack leather, developed into a leather that they call Spokane, especially for nicks. This is built on Chrome XL. And you can see after about a year, and I've worn this on and off, it's broken in, you can see from the rolls. You can see that the thickness of the wax is in, obviously sort of better condition than this one. When I say better condition, I don't mean that this is bad, I just mean that it's worn, the wax is worn out, which some of us will like because it shows off the nap and patinas really beautifully. And that will patina beautifully. So will this. If only I wore it harder. If I were able to wear this as a work boot, I think it might show off a few more scrapes, but I'm liking it as it is. It's beginning to show some nap. It's beginning to rub off. Comfort-wise, I am finding the stitch down boots from Parkhurst more comfortable than the Goodyear Welt boots out of Spain. I think one of the reasons is they use a lugged sole, a commando lugged sole, that's actually lower in profile. In the Spanish ones, they're quite high in profile. And I find when you're breaking those boots in, you kind of tend to be able to feel every lug as you walk on them. Narrow in the heel, narrow in the waist, wider in the ball, and then lengthens out to a sharpish almond toe. It's slightly longer than the 602 lasted boots because what they have to do is extend the length to fit your toes in. But you don't feel strange about it. And the heel to ball is perfect for my size. How this has worn, I think is interesting. It's one of those boots that when you first put on, you think, oh wow, this is a stiff boot. But after 15 minutes, you forget you have them on. The leather kind of softens with the heat of your feet, I think. What I'm hoping to do is, what I'm hoping to see is that across the 12 weeks, we get more and more wear and more brown nap starts to show through. It should show through the original sort of lighter brown base color. We'll see. The next boot I wore this week is the Trickers Stow boot. But I'm a bit weird, Everybody buys a Trickers Stow in the traditional original acorn. I wanted something a bit different that nobody else has, or not many people have. So this is India Hydro Nubuck. It's treated from Charles F. Stead so that it is waterproof. And it actually is waterproof, because this week we had a cold front coming through Perth and it rained, and this got rained on, and I shook my feet as we walked indoors at the office, because I wore these to the office for a whole day, and the water droplets just flew off. It was a sight to behold. Very soft nubuck, lovely texture in the shaft. It's sort of almost pebbled, not so in the vamp. It seems to be fairly flat there, so it might be two types of that nubuck. The English country boot brogue is just such a lovely shape, I think, and very, very comfortable in the width. What I didn't like about it, I found it to be very flat on the inside. It's good you welted. It has a midsole, but what I found was that there was no pretense at building up arches. There is a wood shank. The English would tend to use wood shanks from ash trees. But that wasn't it. It wasn't the support that was missing. It was the fact that there was actually no build up into the arch at all. The inside is a flat piece of leather. And so I found that quite uncomfortable. And what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to buy one of those little arch support wedges that you can buy from the pharmacy, and just glue that into the arch there to help me sort of keep my arch up. So I was a bit disappointed. Second thing I was disappointed at, I know the stow boot in the Acorn is partially gusseted. This is not gusseted at all, The tongue is not attached to anything on the facings, which for a waterproof boot, I find very strange. I also find it very strange that they might click the same pattern, but not stitch them on in the same way. I just don't understand. And obviously they're not clicking the same pattern, because you can't not click the gusset in the tongue and not stitch it in. So these tongues are cut differently. Very strange. Day-night sole, a little bit slippery in the wet. As I said, the Eton sole is a little softer, so it seems to grip wetness better. This is very, very firm rubber sole, and I find firm rubber soles on wet surfaces do tend to go. All right, my final boot is the trusty R.M. Williams Comfort Craftsman in their standard chestnut color. Now, this is a second, you can see from the hole punched in it, and I got it for $200 off retail. Lovely leather. It's a calf skin. I don't know where they get it from. Usually they get it from either an Australian tannery or it could be a New Zealand tannery, so I'm not sure where it came from. It's a fully lined boot, so it's very comfortable, and in this sort of inclement weather, very practical. It's also very practical in being able to pull on and pull off very easily, and I wore this to the office for a whole day. Because it's the Comfort Craftsman, there's a pour-on insole and a rubber outsole, and it is very comfortable. Get the fit right and you'll be fine. What I'm hoping to see across the 12 weeks is maybe a little bit more change to the evenness of the chestnut color. I've seen others where my friends wear, up north in particular, where there's some really nice patina gradations showing. So let's see what it's like. Okay, so let's sum up. I do realize that this is week 1, and all I can tell you at the moment is what I wore and reasonably how comfortable they were or not. You're not going to see a great deal of change in the patina, not in the 1 week, I wish. And also because I wore 8 pairs of boots in the 1 week, they're not actually going to get scraped as much in the 1 week. But this is where I'm hoping across 12 weeks we're going to have a look at. And then at the end of 12 weeks, I'll give you a summary, because I'm beginning to think even now, I chose these boots because they were most of my new boots and some very new boots, and I wanted to break them in so that I was forced to wear these newer boots across 12 weeks. I'm beginning to think now that in my normal life that might have been a mistake, because I didn't choose any black boots, and I didn't choose enough smooth grain boots that I could wear in slightly dressier occasions. There's a lot of rough out, there's a lot of nubuck, there's a lot of suede, there's a lot of oil tan. So that is something to consider about how you choose the boots. Okay, so in week 2, we'll carry on. I'm doing a bit of traveling, so that'll be interesting. What I wore when I was up in Darwin for a few days, and then what I wore down here in Perth. And, you know, in time, we're going to see whether I have any favorites out of all these. So if you like what you're seeing, keep coming back for more. There's 12 sets of videos and then a summary at the end. So the best thing to do is to subscribe so that you can follow them all as they pop up in your feed. And if you like this video, I hope you did, please click on the like button. And in the meantime, go across to my channel, go and check out some of these boots and the reviews. I've done them all. And I'll see you back here in a week. So take care out there. See you soon.